Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. This is Dr. Mike Roncesvalles. Really glad you're with me today. We do this every Wednesday at 12:15. So just want to remind everybody, set your calendars for ever. Put a reminder in your phone. I'm going to be here at 12:15 on Wednesdays for Wellness Wednesdays. So hope you guys had a great New Year. Hope you had an awesome Christmas holiday. It's crazy that we're starting a brand new year. I don't even know how to put my head around it in some ways. It seems like these years are starting to fly by. I don't know whether it's my age. Is it my age, guys? Maybe it is. You know what they say when you're 10 years old, like 1 year is 10% of your entire life. When you're my age, 1 year is like literally a drop in the bucket. And so maybe that's why they just start to fly by. But I can't believe it, man. We're here and we're starting something brand new. I love it because when we have a fresh start, we have an opportunity to begin to say, okay, let me get intentional about my life. Let me get intentional about the things that I need to stop. And that lets me be intentional about the things that I need to start, right? If you free some things up in your life and you stop doing some unhealthy things, you have some time, free time in your schedule. You have some margin now to do what? Some healthy things. And so that's what gets me jazzed up about New Year's and fresh starts. And I'm excited about this year and about our start together, especially on the Live Well coaching platform. We just started this digital platform, and our whole goal is to create moments like this where people are being intentional about their life, and especially on Wednesdays to say, what can I do to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be? How can I be most well? Because we want to help you get healthy, stay healthy, and live well. That's the whole point of Live Well. So let's do this, guys. Let's do this year together. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can dream big and start small in this new year. Before I do it, I'm going to tell you a story. I know you're not surprised by that because I tell stories all the time, but it just helps me illustrate the concepts. And I think I learn in stories, and I hope you guys learn in stories. Jesus taught in stories, which I find wild, right? Like you have the most pivotal, impactful human in human history, which is Jesus. He impacted the world more than anyone else. That's like an objective fact. And he didn't sit down and start didactic teachings, did he? He started with parables. He told stories. So I'm going to tell a story today because that's what has meaning to us. The story I'm going to tell has pretty incredible significance in my life because I'm going to tell you about my tenure as a rec basketball coach. Believe it or not, coaching my boys playing basketball is one of my fondest memories that I have of their childhood, and really one of the most fun things I've ever done. It was a blast, man. And I taught in the same little rec league for, I don't know, probably between my two sons, I had to be 10 years, a decade that I was there every week, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, coaching and trying to strategize the best I can on what to do in situations and how to help kids learn. It was awesome. And I had one son, and he was 8 years old, and I'm coaching his team. And look, not every season went like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not every season went like this, but this season, it was a banner year. We were unbeatable. I'm telling you, unbeatable. We had this big kid on the team. Everybody else, they're all 8, 9 years old. This kid was probably 6 foot tall. He was a giant. And it wasn't even fair, right? Our whole game plan for the entire season was, guys, get the ball to this kid under the basket. He's going to shoot a layup, and we're going to score, until we can't score anymore. And it was the perfect plan, right? I mean, we killed everybody. I mean, the drives home we're incredible, right? Sometimes the drive home from a wreck game is like tough because like, man, what are we going to do different? We lost. Talking to my son, hey, you got to drive to the basket more, or you got to play closer defense. Man, these drives home, we're incredible. We might just need to go straight to NBA because we're that good. Maybe I could get a position as an assistant coach for the Magic. It's possible because I'm amazing. That's what it felt like, right? So the season's amazing. We fly through the playoffs no problem. These teams are nothing for us. We're amazing. Have I mentioned that? Amazing. We get to the championship game. I'm not worried. As a matter of fact, I'm planning my speech the night before of what I'm going to tell the kids, how I'm going to tell them to be humble in victory, those talks, right? I'm staging that out in my mind. Guys, it's not easy being this good. Make sure you don't rub it in people's faces. I'm convinced 1,000% we're going to win this game. We get there, we're warming up. I'm smug, trying to feign humility, right? But I'm so confident. Until we get to the game, right? And the game starts. Our game plan's exactly the same. Feed it to the big kid, the giant under the basket. Let him score. We're good. Play hard defense. That's the whole game plan. The other coach, I still have resentment in my heart, man. I'm telling you, the guy, he came up with an ingenious plan. They call it box one. Do you guys know what box one is? Box one is you take 4 of the players on your team and you just position them in a box in the defense, right? The 5th guy, he stays on the dude on the other team one-on-one who's their biggest threat. That was our big guy, right? So our big guy had a person on him at all times, and then anybody else whose zone he went into, he was double-teamed. So they double-teamed our threat, our scorer. They double-teamed our entire offense the whole game. And the kid imploded. I'm telling you, imploded. No, we had not seen that all season, and he couldn't score a basket, and it was awful. It was the worst championship game in the history of championship games for us. Great for them. I'm sure they had a great party after, right? But for us, it was not fun. We got beat, guys. We got beat bad. We got beat, I don't even want to talk about it. And it was shocking to me. It was a tough loss. And I wish I could say the boys didn't hustle or they didn't respond to changing circumstances. But the real problem with that team was not my boys, and it wasn't our team, and it wasn't their effort. I got out-coached. That's the only explanation, is I got out-coached, and I didn't have a good plan. My plan sucked, actually. His plan was amazing. And I think what that loss taught me about life, and that's what I love about sports, is they usually teach us a lot about life, is that loss taught me that success doesn't just happen. It requires a game plan that prepares us for the unexpected. Doesn't matter how much success we had with that game plan through the season. I should have known. We need a backup plan. We need a backup plan. We've got to have options if we encounter things that we don't expect. And I coasted into that championship game, and I never prepared my team for a difficult situation that would require deliberate and focused energy and a new strategy for success. And I'm telling y'all that because Coach Mike here, I want to coach you differently than I coached those boys during that championship game. I want to coach you with a keen awareness of that very basic principle that you need to have a specific strategy that responds to the unique situation that you're going to encounter this year. And you can't just try the old, tired strategies and expect them to work. How many times have you set goals for a new year? Like, here are my New Year's resolutions. It's going to be awesome. And 2 weeks later, you just aren't doing anything anymore. You're just back to life. You're just trying to grind through a week, right? You know the old drill. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to get more serious about my spiritual life. I'm going to make this marriage everything it's supposed to be. I'm going to prioritize time with my kids. I'm going to practice self-care. All the stuff that we tell ourselves we're going to do. And then what happens? We just go back to what we know. Why? Because we don't have a new game plan. We just want to coast through and make all the goals. And isn't life going to be awesome? But we've got to create a plan that's unique and that's new and that's going to help us get to the end of this year and be like, okay, this actually feels good. I made some pretty significant changes in my life. I'm living the life that I wanted to live back in January, that I told myself I would live. And Coach Mike here, I'm going to give you the strategies that can be a part of this new plan, the plan that's going to actually help you meet your New Year's goals. All right. Number one, any plan, any unique plan, any unique strategy has to focus on intentional goals. You have to be intentional. Most New Year's resolutions start when we create just that list of goals that we believe are going to transform our life. But the research shows that 80% of us just fall. And after helping people for decades with change, because that's really what counseling is, right? Like, you think about therapy is change. We're helping people change. What I found is that our brains can only handle so much at one time, right? You can only handle 2, 3, maybe 4 things at a time as a real sense of focus and passion. And if you overload yourself with too many goals, it ultimately creates what I call decision fatigue. Like, you're changing everything all at once. And it hinders our ability to follow through. It just diminishes our ability to kind of have those moments where we actually see follow through. So the research shows that narrowing your focus to a few meaningful goals vastly increases your chances of success. So I don't want you to sit here and just list every area of your life that you want to improve. I've got to do this, and I've always wanted to do this, and I'm going to get healthier, and my money's going to be different. It's going to be better, and I'm going to spend time with the family. Before you know it, you've got 20 things that you're saying, I'm going to change it all. New me, new life. I think that's what we've entitled this today. New you, new life. New year, new you, something like that. And we absolutely need to shoot for transformation. But we've got to pick 1 or 2 or 3 really specific goals that we can say, I want to change a lot, but I'm starting here with these things. Maybe it's exercise. And say, I'm just going to get super serious about just exercise. I'm just going to start there. It might be, I'm going to build that emergency fund. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to build that emergency fund for money, that I have some savings, and maybe it's, I'm going to spend more time with the family. I'm starting there, but it's got to be 1 or 2 things, guys. So how do you do that? That's the hard part. Is how do you take all the things that you want to change and sort of focus it on 1 or 2 things? Well, I'm going to have you kind of just, I'm going to have you think about 4 or 5 different areas of your life and help you sort of try to get 1 or 2 things on your list. There is a quiz that I have. So if you go to our livewell-coaching.com, that platform, and you look at the blog, livewell-coaching.com. Just go to the blog. I think right on the front page of the blog, there's an article based on what we're talking about today, and there's a quiz in that article, and you can actually take the quiz, and it'll help you based on your answers to say, okay, I really obviously need to focus on this thing or this thing. But if we're not going to be able to do that quiz today, what I'm going to do is just talk to you about the areas of your life that quiz will help you kind of recognize. And it would be number 1, your physical health. Number 2, it would be your mental health and your emotional resilience. Number 3, it would be your relationships. Number 4 would be, I guess, professional endeavors or professional goals. And then number 5 would be just focusing on personal growth, self-care, personal fulfillment. So as I looked at sort of all the things that are usually on our plate when we look at a new year, most things are going to fall into one of those 5 categories. So I think if you could say, okay, let me take those 5 things and let me pick 1 or 2. Now you're in business. Now you've sort of started to say, okay, I've focused my energy this year, and that's going to be the first piece that will allow you to actually be successful this year as you pursue your goals. Number 2, once you've focused your goals, you want to answer the why question. You want to answer the why question. So setting goals is really the easy part. And you know this from your previous experience with goals. It's easy to set the goals. The challenge is sustaining your motivation to achieve them. I want to get healthy. I'm going to start exercising. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to hit the gym, and I'm going to get fit. I'm going to bulk up. And if you're a guy, you're like, I'm going to get muscles. If you're a female, you're like, whatever, whatever sort of drives that for you. But the question is, what do you do when you're tired 3 weeks in and you worked late and you don't feel like you've got enough time to do the workout? How do you maintain your motivation in the grind of your life? That's the hard part, the motivation to follow through. So the difference between just the fleeting resolutions that come, I'm going to do this and this, and the lasting change basically boils down to understanding one key factor. And that key factor is understanding the deeper reason for your change. You've got to answer, why am I doing this? Why do I even care? So when your goals are connected to something that's meaningful, they stop being chores. They stop being like just a to-do list. I've got to do this now. And they become purposeful actions that align with your values. Does that make sense? I'm going to say it one more time. When your goals are connected to something meaningful, they stop being chores on a to-do list and become purposeful actions that align with your values and your priorities. So your why really becomes your emotional anchor, that driving force that keeps you moving forward. So if you want to lose weight, that might feel like a task, right? I'm going to lose weight. That's my goal. That's my resolution. But if you reframe that as, I want to feel way more energy for my life. When I get out in the yard with my kids and I'm throwing the football or I'm playing hopscotch or I'm doing whatever, I want to feel energy, man. I want to feel the vitality like I used to 20 years ago. That has personal significance, right? Losing weight's like, okay, I want to do that. It'll look good. That doesn't really work. You got to attach it to the why. I'm losing weight because I want more energy for my life. I want to be present with people. So if you want to save money, maybe that's the goal. I'm gonna save money. That becomes more compelling when it's tied to something like this. I want to take my family on the dream vacation that we've always wanted to, and I want to make memories with them. Now that makes a difference, right? So the next time you're getting gas and you're like, am I going to go in and spend $15 on chips and a drink, or am I going to stop myself from spending that money unnecessarily because I'm connected to this why, that I don't need to spend that, not because it's a to-do or because I'm that disciplined or because I want to be good with my money. I'm doing it because I've got to get to Europe with my kids. I've got to do that. I've got to take them skiing. I want that memory. I want them to remember that. See what I'm saying? It makes a difference, guys. The why makes a difference. Goals that resonate deeply with your true self, with what's in you. Man, that's what's motivating. And that's what keeps you going when it gets hard. When you encounter a setback, the motivation that will allow you to just charge through is this connection to these things that are deeply motivating to you. So connecting to your why also changes how you view obstacles. If your goal is to improve your health so you can live longer for your loved ones, missing a day at the gym, that's just a pause, right? It's not a failure. Because what are you going to do? You just like, oh, screw it, I failed. I guess I'll die early. I guess I'll leave my kids alone. I guess my spouse. No, it's like, oh, okay, that's why I'm doing this to be the healthiest version of myself I can possibly be. That's my why. I want to be around for my kids, my grandkids. I want to have great grandkids. I want to be at their games, watching them lose basketball games, right? See what I'm saying? That why becomes your motivating factor that helps you push through the obstacles. If you, like to use the example of working out, if you work late one night and you don't have the energy to do it, and you're like dragging your butt in, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just so tired, and I've got to cook, and then I've got to get the kids down, or I've got to make one more call, and you just can't do it, and you miss the workout. Is that a failure, or is that just pause? It's a failure if you're working out to working out. It's a failure if you're working out to lose weight. It's not a failure if I'm working out because I want to be a different person health-wise. I want to live a different life as far as my health goes. That's just a pause. Tomorrow you still have that same motivation, right? You're still like, man, I'm still energized by my why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I working on these goals in the first place? That gives your motivation teeth in the moment. So go back to your resolutions. Go back to, those 5 areas that I mentioned before. And you might have to do this after the video, and that's cool. But I want you to kind of look at your resolutions and say, okay, what am I really trying to achieve? I have 1 or 2 things down. What am I really trying to achieve? How will my life improve if I actually reach this goal? If I actually prioritize my marriage for once, how's that going to change things? How's that going to change my life? How's that going to improve my life? Write some stuff down. Who else is going to benefit from my success? This is huge for a lot of you. Some of you need other people to be involved in your change because you're motivated by how you can help other people. You're motivated by the impact that you have on other people. That might be big for some of you to say, if I'm successful at making this change, who will benefit? I will, of course, but what will it mean to my wife? What will it mean to my husband? What will it mean to my kids? What will it mean to my friends? What will it mean to my grandkids? What will it mean to the people that I love? What will it mean to the people that I lead? What will it mean to my coworkers? You see what you're doing? Those questions that we just asked, they're just helping you answer the question, why? They're giving your goals context. And that deeper meaning that you're tapping into behind your goals will allow you to have the motivation to follow through when the going gets tough. And it's going to. The going is, it's going to get tough. That's called change. It's hard. If it were not hard, we would all do it easily and I would be out of a job and that'd be fine. But that's not reality. The truth is, you need these strategies in order to break through the resistance when things get hard. All right, and then the final step. So you want a new game plan. If you're not going to be like Coach Mike and just blow it because you don't have the game plan to respond to all the challenges of 2025. Here's number 3. Dream big. Dream big. Start small. Dream big. Start small. Breaking your resolutions into actionable, bite-sized pieces is how progress actually happens. Does that make sense? So you take your big dream, but sometimes when we try to commit to a big dream, it just feels so overwhelming, and you don't feel like you're making progress towards the big dream. You're 3 weeks in or 3 months in. It's like, oh my gosh, man, it's still, we're near my goal. You've got to break your big dream into actionable, bite-sized pieces. And so to take those first steps, reflect on your current habits and your current mindset and ask yourself some questions. What's worked well in this area before? Can you find any progress? So let's say with exercise that I want to exercise. Why? Step 2, because I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids, and I want to have tons of energy, when I do my day and when I'm at work. Okay, here's my goal. Here's my why. And then this question is what's worked in the past? So if I'm going to do exercise, I remember 10 years ago, the last time I tried working out, I joined the gym and I got a trainer, or I found a walking partner. And just look back and say, okay, as I look back in the entire body of work of my life, what's actually worked? Secondly, ask yourself, what hasn't worked? And why? Why didn't it work? Can you anticipate, like, man, I don't need to go down this path when it comes to exercise because, man, I just get disillusioned. I want to eat healthier, but I just cannot do a vegetarian diet. Why? Because I don't like vegetables. Okay, great. So now you know. Just be honest with yourself about what hasn't worked. And then finally, what are the biggest obstacles that I've faced as I've tried to eat better or get a new job or work on my marriage or be a better parent? What obstacles have I really faced? You might want to write those out. You might want to jot those down. And it might help to go back to your list of goals, go back to those resolutions, and write down the top 3 reasons why you haven't made progress in these areas before. Cool? I mean, what a great idea. So go back to your list. I hope you guys take the quiz. So go take the quiz in my article, get your list of resolutions, and then go back and say, man, why hasn't this worked in the past? And that reflection, what it's going to do is you're automatically going to start to see the barriers to success, and you're automatically going to see the opportunities for meaningful change. And now, once you've done that, I want you to define what success looks like for each resolution. So I've now written down my obstacle. Here's why this has not worked in the past. Now, write down, what does success look like? Be realistic. Don't set yourself up for failure. Be very specific. Okay? So I'll give you an example. If your goal is better physical health, don't attempt a complete diet overhaul, 7-day-a-week workouts, and a 5K in 1 month. Right? Like, just don't do that to yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. Start with a simple habit like walking for 10 minutes. I'm going to do 10 minutes a day for 2 weeks. Make sense? Then once that becomes routine and that one little, so you've taken that big dream, starting small, 10 minutes a day, 2 weeks. Once you're doing that, increase the duration, add another layer, right? So at weeks 3 and 4, I'm going to extend my walks to 20 minutes and then I'm going to start stretching after my walks, right? I can do that. So, and by the way, you will be able to do that. You walk for 10 minutes a day. 2 weeks in, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel like, okay, now I can go 20 minutes and now I can stretch. And in 2 months, you've been at this for 8 weeks now, incorporate 2 days of body weight training. So now I'm walking every day for 20 minutes. I'm stretching 2 days a week. I'm working out with weights. 3 months from now, 12 weeks in, I'm gonna add a fitness class. I'm gonna go to Trinity Fitness or CrossFit, or I'm gonna do a yoga class at the gym, whatever. You see how that happens? So you just start to link together these small, little, actionable, bite-sized steps together. And over time, you're sort of creating this chain of behaviors. We call it a behavior chain in therapy. And you start to link behaviors together in a behavior chain. Guess what? You wake up 9 months from now, you're in way better shape. Does that make sense? It's very important to me as you're thinking about, how to dream big and start small, that you don't forget the dream big part, because you need to allow yourself to commit wholeheartedly to the big vision. That's actually very important. You got to go all in, right? You're working for life change. And I want to emphasize that. And you've got to risk it all based on the chips that are in your hand right now. So your goal should not be, in 9 months, I will walk to the stop sign and back and it'll be awesome and I'll be in. No, that's not what we want. I want you to live a new life. But you have to recognize that you've got the big vision, and then you've got to link some behaviors together over time that will ultimately lead you to your larger vision. And you've got to write this stuff down. When you're walking 10 minutes a day, it doesn't feel like it's doing much. And by the way, it's not if you're still walking 10 minutes a day in 6 months. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you're walking 10 minutes a day, and on your mirror in your bathroom or on your refrigerator or on the home screen on your phone, you've kind of put your big goals down and you're looking at them all the time, it's gonna feel meaningful. It's gonna feel like, look at this. I'm actually making progress, and small actions taken consistently compound into significant progress. That's how change happens. So you want to update your resolutions with this step-by-step plan that allows for steady, sustainable change. I'm going to end with one thing here. Now's the time. Now's the time. When should you start to change your life? When should you start to get healthy and stay healthy and really live well? Now. Now's the time. You cannot wait until you feel ready. You can't wait until it's convenient. You can't wait until it doesn't hurt. You can't wait until the relationship's better. You can't wait until you feel fixed emotionally. Now is the time to begin to be intentional about your life and to walk forward with change and with progress. Now's the time. It's like a poker game. You guys ever play poker? I used to think poker is the lamest thing in the world, right? Years ago, I remember they would play it on like ESPN. You guys remember this? You have sports channels, and I'd be late at night. Everybody else is in bed, and I'm trying to watch some sports, and I'd come across poker, and I'd be like, who in the world watches poker on television? It's boring, right? until I doing something, I kind of left it on a poker game. Oh my gosh. It was the most exciting thing on television, man. It was awesome. I'd never really played poker. I didn't know how it worked. And I had all these characters that were playing. They're wearing sunglasses and had all these flashy outfits and talking trash to one another. And what I realized about poker, and I had no idea until I started to watch it, if you're ever going to win at poker, if you're ever going to win, you've got to push all your chips to the center of the table at some point and say, I'm all in. I'm going to risk it all based on the cards that I've got on my hand right now. And isn't that where we're all at right this second? The beginning of a new year. Are we going to make changes? Are we not? Are we going to commit? Are we not? Are we ever going to live that life we want to live, the life we've always wanted, or are we not? Now is the time, and you've got to push all your chips to the center of the table and risk it all based on the cards you've got in your hand right now. And you've got to dream big, and you've got to say, man, by next year this time, I'm going to have massive shifts in my life. Things are going to be totally different. I'm going to be in shape, or I'm going to be more spiritually connected than I've ever been. My marriage is going to be better. Finally, once and for all, I'm going to be the wife or the husband that I need to be. I'm going to be the parent that I need to be. I'm going to have a new job next year this time. I'm going to be making more money. I'm going to be more financially secure. Those things are going to happen. Dream big. But don't wait until you're ready to start. Now is the time. Go all in. Push all your chips to the center of the table. And start. Start. And I'll tell you this much. You put together the components that we've talked about in this talk today. You're going to have a game plan that's going to allow you to succeed. Don't be like Coach Mike in the rec basketball league. Don't be like me. Don't coast thinking I'm just going to do the old thing. I'm going to do it the way I've always done it. I'll just keep trying. Don't do that. Get a new game plan. Follow the protocol we've gone over today. And in the end, you will be living a different life. It's a certainty. And my goal for all of us is that we use the Live Well coaching platform. We use the community we're building on that platform. We use each other to ensure that at the end of the day, the end of 2025, we're all getting healthy, staying healthy, and living well. All right? So we're going to do this. Let's do it together. Please don't hesitate. Comment. If you have any comments on this, just go to YouTube channel. They can comment on the YouTube channel, I think. They can comment in the app. You can go in the community in the app or on the website. Just go to livewell-coaching.com and you can get in that community. Just comment. People will respond to you. We'll be talking back to you. We'll encourage each other, and let's just go after this together, guys. All right. Thanks so much for being with me today on Wellness Wednesday. I'm just excited about where we're headed. I will see you here next.